So ladies and gentlemen, I'm so pleased to be able to have the composer of this incredible commissioned work, The Call, with us this evening. This particular composition came to fruition over 2 years ago, and one of the most incredible supporters of the Willamette Master Chorus is Dave Metzger. And so I asked Dave to consider writing a piece for our Veterans Concert. And in the busyness of his world, being a Hollywood film score composer, he said yes. Dave, welcome.
Thank you, Paul. Great to be here.
I really appreciate all of the gifts that you've given to the Willamette Master Chorus. This composition that we've asked you to write was in the middle of a very busy season for you. And I want to say thank you on behalf of the Master Chorus and all of the public for writing this piece. You have been an incredible friend.
Oh, well, thank you. It's my pleasure, and my experiences always with the Master Chorus have been wonderful, and it's a bunch of fun for me. So.
You told me that you needed to have a text, and we did get that text from Henry Hughes. And we're going to hear from him in just a little bit. But could you talk for our listeners a little bit about how you took that text and how you set it to music? What was your process?
Mm-hmm. Well, actually, I started out, in this case, I had a melody that actually Henry wrote then the lyric to that melody that I already had in mind. And so I sort of started out actually by using that as my bridging pieces throughout the whole composition. And so I knew I wanted to start out with that melody to kind of set up the piece, and then break into the lyric that Henry had written. And then at that point it was an original departure for me. So I sort of looked at it as almost two parts, two pieces of music, really. The piece that Henry had written the lyric to mine, and then also my piece of music that I was writing to Henry's words. And so that was really kind of how I started out looking at it. And then Henry's lyric, his words are so evocative that it just led me in a direction. Once I started working on that piece of his words, it just led me. You know, it was one of those things of where I could hear it in my head immediately of where the direction was that I wanted to go. And he did a wonderful job of leading me into the right place.
So you've composed this piece with instruments and orchestra in mind. And I was wondering if you could share with the audience your vision of the orchestra, what instruments will be accompanying.
Mm-hmm. Well, we have actually a pretty nice sized orchestra. We have a flute, oboe, clarinet, bassoon, so we have 4 woodwinds. We've got, I believe it's 7 brass, 3 percussion, a harp, and a number of strings, so a complement of strings. And so the nice thing about it is that there's enough color there to where I'm not relying. Sometimes when you have too small of a group, you don't have enough variation to work with, especially on a piece like this that's about 15 minutes long. And so it was nice to have enough color to where I can go in and out. I'm not relying, I can have just the woodwinds play for a while, or I can just have the strings play for a while, or I can have the brass only play for a while. I'm not having to have everybody play the whole way through. And to me, one of the beauties of music is the color that each instrument brings. So it's always a pleasure. That's one of my most enjoyable things is the orchestration aspect of it and the color point
As I said in the introduction, this is something that you do for your livelihood. You do this all the time. Could you share with the listeners what your job is outside of writing a piece for the Willamette Master Chorus? Share with us maybe a daily thing that you do for your work with the Hollywood films.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm actually probably best known as a orchestrator, although I've actually have composed a number of films myself as the composer, but I'm labeled mostly as an orchestrator. So what that means is I take the composer's melodies and then I make them fit for the number of instruments that we have. Usually in a Hollywood movie, you have anywhere between 70 and 100 musicians. And so my job is to write the score and decide who's going to play what. And I also have to worry about then fitting into the dialogue because, of course, nobody really wants to hear the music when somebody's talking on screen. So that's another one of my requirements is I have to make sure that I'm not covering up the dialogue, that I'm always kind of fitting in the right level. So, and at this point, I've worked on, I believe it's about 50 movies. I think I'm up to that at this point, and also done a little bit of Broadway stuff, and a lot of television commercials over the years, and a lot of TV shows even too. And so I'm not sure if that's.
Yeah, one of the melodies I think that you wrote in this piece, you actually submitted for a commercial.
That's correct.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. So the one that we started out with, actually, that Henry wrote the lyric to, was a commercial for the Marines, actually. And so here we go. It comes back around.
I am so grateful to you for this incredible gift to our community. And so I'm very much looking forward to having our listeners hear this incredible composition by a real genius of composition and orchestration who lives right here in our community. So David, thank you very much. And I'd like to invite Henry to come to the chair, and I'd like to talk with Henry Hughes just for a second.